Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining another live stream, my friends. I hope you guys have all been doing well out there and having a great day so far. I apologize for the inconvenience if I've been changing the time a lot. I've been very busy today. But like I said, I hope you guys are all doing well out there. And let's start going by taking a look at the radar. And as you guys can see, we are going to be tracking the potential for some showers and even some thunderstorms across the Carolinas. But what we're especially going to be talking about is that we are going to be tracking a potential rare and active pattern as we get into the end of this month. So let's start taking a look at that. So if we take a look at the models, let's go ahead and select the GFS model right now. I'm just going to quickly pull up a few things I forgot to pull up before the stream. Okay, there we go. I think that's all I need. But yeah, so like I said, we are going to be tracking the potential for a pretty big change as we get into the end of this month. The GFS model is currently updating as of right now. And if we take this forward, we will be tracking a little bit of a clipper system across the Great Lakes and as well as the Ohio Valley region by the time we get into the weekend. But the thing that we're especially going to keep an eye on is this next big storm that looks to be rolling on in by the time we get into Christmas Eve. So just keep in mind that that could definitely cause some pretty big impacts, as we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that closely. And then we will be watching even another round of potential showers and thunderstorms as we get after Christmas. Let's see here. Tony says, Super Sim. Yeah, thank you for joining, Tony. I do appreciate that. Let's see here. Don Moon says, good evening. Good evening to you, Don. Once again, thank you guys for joining my live streams. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, we will be really watching this storm very closely as it rolls on through. And another thing that we might need to watch closely for is the potential for some severe weather, which as of right now, it actually is showing quite a bit of cape surging on in by the time we head into our Friday, December 27th, which could bring the potential once again for some severe weather, as we will have some cape and energy surging up there into Arkansas and as well as into Missouri. So we will be watching that very closely by the time we get into the end of this month. So definitely keep that in mind if you got anything planned as we get into New Year's Eve. So we'll definitely continue to watch that closely. Let's see here. Severe Storm Filmer says, I dropped a like as well, Sim. Thank you so much, Severe Storm Filmer. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, let's all try to get up to 10 likes on the stream if possible. Like I said, I really do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for the support. But and then after that, it still remains a lot uncertain. I'm actually going to change to the European model, which actually can go a little bit far out than the GFS model, and that's because the European model right now is fully updated. But if we take a look at the European model just to see the difference in comparison as we get after Christmas, I'm just going to quickly switch this to precipitation. And yeah, as you can see, as we get right after Christmas, the European model actually does want to show like I said, a pretty big storm across the lower Ohio Valley and as well as into the deep south as we get after Christmas. And after that, maybe even another big round of rain starting to roll on through by the time we get into Friday, December 27th. And then we might need to watch even another one after that, which some of these do really look like they could bring severe weather, like I said. So we'll definitely continue to watch it very closely, as some of these could definitely bring severe weather. So yeah, we'll definitely continue to watch that closely, and then it really remains uncertain after that, but we'll definitely watch for some cold air and as well as some snowfall as we head into our January, which looks to be the coldest and potentially even the snowiest month this season, and that's usually what we would normally see during the month of January. And let's actually take a look at that, because some of you guys might still be wondering, will we see a snowy January or not? So let's take a look at that. And this time we're going to look all the way to the very end of January just to get a good idea. Now, obviously, take this with a grain of salt as we still don't know what January will play out as, but from now all the way to the last day of January, we will be tracking a lot of snowfall across the United States potentially as we get into January, like I said. And this model currently does want to show, like I said, the potential for a lot of heavy snowstorm events. Does want to show that we might get up to around a half a foot of snowfall across those areas farther down south, like the Lower Ohio Valley, and as well as areas into the Mid-Atlantic. We'll be watching those areas closely as we get into January. I don't know about you guys far down to the south, but I definitely do think there is that potential that we might see a dusting or two from one of the snowstorms that could roll on through. And like I said, this is just to give us a good idea on what we could see as we get into January. The only thing that we still don't know about totally is that we still don't know exactly how everything's gonna play out, but like I said, we at least got a good idea that it could be on the snowier side of things, so we'll definitely continue to watch that very closely. Yeah, so definitely keep that in mind. Let's go back to the radar again and see what's going on. So yeah, like I said, we are tracking some thunderstorms across the Carolinas. Just giving you guys a heads up on what the weather's looking like over there. And I mean, it's not really looking like it's gonna be too bad today, as the latest from the Storm Prediction Center has brought that severe risk down. As you can see, for the rest of today, we're mainly just tracking that risk for general showers and thunderstorms, but it does look like we could still get some severe weather as the National Weather Service down there in Georgia has actually just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for those areas. I was not expecting it to be this active for today, but since one has just gotten issued, let's check it out. So this one down here in Georgia is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, currently located across areas in central, eastern, western Georgia, across places like Andersonville, over there towards Bumphead, even areas south there of Wall Crossing in Georgia, even Concord, Friendship. You guys are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. We even got some special weather statements in effect for those areas a little farther down to the south that we are going to be watching closely for. Now, it doesn't really look like this storm is doing with any big rotation, but it definitely does look like it could definitely start to ramp up. So we will keep an eye on that closely. Let's see here. F5 Tornado Gray says, hello, I am back again. Do you think there will be any active weather for Florida through the rest of December and into January? For Florida, once again, you are going to see those chances for showers and thunderstorms. Chances of thunderstorms are kind of going down a little bit for you, but but while we're here, let's go ahead and check that out for you. And I really do appreciate you joining, my friend. Let's check this out. So for Florida, if we look at any opportunities for showers and thunderstorms, we will be tracking some potential thunderstorms as we head into the next few hours for today. After that, your chances for thunderstorms will then diminish as we get into tomorrow, because as you can see, this tomorrow, Thursday, December 19th, you might still see a brief rumble of thunder across some of those areas, but most of that that should be out of here by the time we get into the weekend, and we should mainly be left with dry conditions, maybe some chances for more thunderstorms by the time we get into the end of December, which is when we're going to be tracking this rare and active severe weather pattern that's going to be around. But that still remains uncertain though, but you're at least going to be seeing a few chances for storms as we head throughout today and as well as into tomorrow, so we'll continue to watch that very closely. Another thing that I do want to take a look at is the Climate Prediction Center outlook. And the latest from the Climate Prediction Center, starting off with the 6 to 10 day outlook, is currently forecasting above average temperatures across much of the United States, including Alaska and as well as Hawaii, expected to see above normal temperatures across almost every single U.S. state you can think of, okay? So if you're dreaming of a white Christmas, ain't gonna happen, as we are gonna be tracking well above normal temperatures across much of the United States. For precipitation, we are gonna be watching for well above average precipitation across the Northwest, as we could be seeing several inches of rainfall as we head throughout the next couple weeks. And then down here towards the Southern Plains, we will be tracking some pretty active precipitation, and like I said, we'll even have those chances for severe weather as we get into Christmas and as well as into New Year's Eve, so we'll watch that very closely. And if we look at the hazards as well, you're kind of gonna need to look a little close to see them because my screen isn't completely full. But if we look closely though, for precipitation, we will be tracking a chance for heavy rainfall across the deep south into parts there of Mississippi, Alabama, up there into Arkansas, and that could even extend as far north as the Lower Ohio Valley, so we will watch that by the time we get into the end of December and as well as the beginning of January, so definitely keep that in mind if you live anywhere across the deep south or even up here along the western coast of California, so we'll keep an eye on that closely. We'll even have some shots of high winds too as well. This is definitely looking like something to really keep an eye on very closely, as we could definitely be talking about some very high wind gusts across the higher elevations, which does point out that we could even see an atmospheric river event by the time we get into the end of December and as well as the beginning of January, so we will keep an eye on that very closely. And then for temperatures, we aren't really seeing any risk of above or below average temperatures, but like I said, though, we are still going to be talking well above average across much of the U.S., so we'll definitely keep an eye on that closely. Let's see here. Don Moon says, hello, I'm in Western Maryland. I am just wondering if we are going to get a outbreak or if we're gonna get a break from the rain we are getting. So if we're gonna get a break, well, let's see here. So for Western Maryland, you say, you are currently under a special weather statement for the next hour, and that is mainly going to be because of rain and even some freezing drizzle around. It's not really likely to be anything severe, but you definitely could maybe see some glazes of ice over there in Western Maryland, and it also depends on where you are in Western Maryland, because we aren't like gonna be seeing anything in the way of like severe weather, like I said, but we will track it very closely as we head into the next few hours, because like I said, you are going to be under that special weather statement for the next hour or two, so you may see a break of rain as we head into tonight, but definitely not right now, as we will see some of that rain freeze on contact, but definitely not looking like anything severe, thankfully, as only a glaze of ice is expected. But if we go to these areas far down to the south, still currently got that severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for areas in Georgia, especially areas by the KACJ airport. You guys are still under a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter size hail, like I said. So we will continue to watch that closely. And then back to what we were talking about before. Let's go back in to the entire United States, like what we were showing first. And let's see, the GFS model. There's a chance the GFS model might have been pretty up to date right now. So let's check out what's showing, cause the GFS model is actually showing that some of that Cape could actually surge on in into parts there of the Lower Ohio Valley by the time we get into our Friday, which, like I said, is going to be the end of December when we start to see that energy surge on into areas like the Lower Ohio Valley. So that is going to be something to really watch for. Now, what does it look like in refractivity? And as you can see, it is definitely looking to be something to really watch closely for, because as you can see, we are going to be seeing a pretty big line rolling on through the Lower Ohio Valley and as well as the Deep South, and that's mainly because we're going to see that energy, like I said, and I can quickly go back to that to show you that, guys, that, but yeah, we're going to have quite a bit of energy surging on in, and that could even continue eastward into the Lower Ohio Valley, and that might even continue as we get into New Year's Eve. We're still going to have to wait for it to update first, but this is definitely looking like something to really watch for, as things are definitely looking to start ramping up. Let's see here. I'm late in my bed. Are you really, my friend? Let's see here. Damin says, thank you. You are welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for the question. I really do appreciate that. And then after that, something else that I kind of want to talk about is, will we really see severe weather? Because we do know that there will be energy, but we also got to look at the dew points to kind of get a good idea about that. And yeah, we'll have quite a bit of moisture surging on in. And if we take a zoom in view, so that way we can get a little bit better idea on the dew points, yeah, we will have plenty of moisture, as we will be seeing those dew points in the 60s across some of those areas. And then another thing that we need, not only energy and moisture, but we also need wind shear. And so if we take a look at the wind shear, we are going to have enough to support a little bit of severe weather, especially as that big area of red and orange that you see, that could definitely support some chances for tornadoes. So we will watch it very closely. Let's see here. Shaken Blake says, sorry, I missed some of your stream. You are perfectly fine, my friend. I still do appreciate you getting to join me, and I really do appreciate you even hanging out on my other live streams. Like I said, I still really do appreciate that, my friend. Let's see here. Morgan says, my man, you got more energy than that storm. Yeah. I try to use it to get better at my streams, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but I actually am getting a monitor. I actually just posted that on my community post a few hours ago. I'm actually getting a monitor, which is actually going to go on the side of my desk, and so I'll have another screen to work with during my live streams, and so whatever you guys see are actually going to look a little bit different. So just wait for it and stay tuned. It's expected to arrive on Monday of next week, so I'll be excited to show you guys it right after Christmas. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But anyway, like I said, we will be watching for some severe weather across those areas, especially as we are going to be seeing some of that wind shear roll on through. And then we will also be seeing, like I said, a lot of troughs moving on through. As you can see, that's a big dip in the jet stream right there, which could definitely mean another shot of severe weather by the time we get closer to New Year's Eve. So once again, we will watch it very closely as things do look to start ramping up by the time we get into the end of this month. So if you got any New Year's Eve plans and you live in the central United States, make sure you are watching for severe weather, and of course staying informed as well, as there could be that potential for some severe weather. So we'll continue to watch it closely. And then yeah, after that, still remains uncertain, like I said, but we will definitely keep an eye on that very closely. And then something else I do want to point out is with the watches, warnings, and as well as the advisories, we are going to be seeing a huge surge of cold air rolling on through this weekend. It's not going to be till Christmas where we see that dramatic change in weather, like what we were just talking about, which is gonna start right around the Christmas time frame and continue into the beginning of January. But before that happens, we are going to be seeing a huge surge of cold air this weekend, and as more of that cold air surges on in, we are going to be seeing potentially some winter storms around across the upper Midwest, which could definitely lead to a couple inches of snowfall, if why not a foot of snowfall in some of those areas. We even got high wind warnings in effect for the higher elevations there in Montana, Wyoming, even up there into the Dakotas, back over there in Minnesota. So we'll keep an eye on that closely, as that is really looking to be our main concern as we head throughout the rest of this week and even into the beginning of next week. But like I said, after Christmas, which will be on the middle and as well as the end of next week, and as well as into New Year's Eve, we will be tracking some severe weather potential as we get into the end of this month and as well as into the beginning of our January. And if you got any questions, feel free to leave them down in the chat. I will definitely get to those whenever you want me to. And yeah, of course, we'll continue to keep you guys updated with the latest. But a few more things I do want to take a look at. One other thing that we are going to take a look at is our total rainfall and as well as our total snowfall, which is kind of going to give us a good idea on what to expect as the rest of those storms roll on through. So if we take a look at our total snowfall using the GFS model, we are going to be watching much of the United States closely for some potential for some snowfall, especially across the north into the higher elevations. Looks like places like Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, back over there into California. You guys in the higher elevations could definitely get some pretty heavy snowfall by the time we get closer to January. So even though some of you guys will see above average temperatures, because if we look back at the Climate Prediction Center again, even though some of you guys will be seeing above average temperatures during the Christmas time frame, you guys are still high enough in elevation to where you guys will likely be below freezing across those areas, especially areas that are above 10,000 feet. So like I said, you are still going to be seeing that heavy snowfall potential across the higher elevations, even though you guys will be warm. It's gonna be the eastern United States to get less of that snowfall, because you guys are really going to be seeing well below average temperatures, or not well below, excuse me, I meant to say above normal temperatures across much of the east, and that's the reason why that snowfall that you're seeing right now is not as huge as as what it has been showing over the past few weeks. So the bad news is for snow lovers, you guys aren't really looking at anything in the way of major snowfall, but we might see a change in snowfall by the time we get into January. But so we will keep an eye on that closely. But once again, definitely not as much as what we would typically see this time of year. So that's the difference on what we can expect. Yeah, and not only will we be tracking that, we also are watching those water temperatures across the Eastern Pacific closely, as those water temperatures are currently in the La Nina territory, and that's mainly because temperatures as of right now are below that 1 degree mark, as you can see. So that does indicate the potential for some huge changes, because if you guys are wondering what a La Nina pattern looks like, I can quickly go to the radar just to show you. I'm just going to zoom out like this so that way I can quickly draw it. I just got to remember where to go, but what you're pretty much doing, or what we're pretty much gonna see as we get into La Nina, is that we're gonna have a huge jet stream around. So let me quickly go ahead and select my paintbrush. We're gonna have a huge jet stream that looks like this, coming into the northwest and going into the northern United States. And let me just draw that just a little bit better, but it's pretty much going to look like this by the time we're in a La Nina. This is what a typical La Nina pattern looks like, and this is usually what we would see when we get into a La Nina. So that's the reason why we are going to be watching for a huge change in our jet stream, is because those temperatures, like I said, are going to be getting close to a La Nina, which is about where we are right now. So this is something to watch for by the time we get into January, as more of those storm systems that come in from the northwest could surge on in towards the lower Ohio Valley, and as well as up there into the northeast. So that's something to watch for as we get into January, like I said, but it still is uncertain though, as we still don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And like I said, if you guys got any questions, concerns, leave down in the chat. Feel free to leave those, as we will continue to stay live for a little bit longer. We still got some things that we'll be watching for, such as some severe weather down there in the deep south. And like I said, we're going to also be tracking that potential for a pretty big pattern change by the time we get into the end of this month. But like I said, though, if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave those down in the chat. Let's see here. Don says, good night. See you all next time. I have to go. Well, like I said, thank you so much for joining, Don. You've been a big help to the channel. Have a good night as well, and I really do appreciate that. And I also hope you have a great weekend as we get into the later part of this week. And if we can get up to, and if we're able to get up to 10 likes on the stream, that would be much appreciated. So if you haven't clicked that like button yet, make sure to click that like button, as we are going to try to get up to 10 likes on the stream. So make sure to click that like button if you haven't already. But if we also look at our total rainfall, that's the next thing we're going to take a look at. We are going to be tracking a lot of rainfall by the time we get into the end of this month, because as you can see, much of the central United States is likely going to be picking up a little bit of rainfall, at least anywhere from a little, at least anywhere from a quarter to a half an inch across the central United States. But as you get farther east, though, your chances for rainfall will start to pick up as places like Dixie Alley, back over there into Texas, parts there of eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, up there into Wisconsin, parts there of eastern Iowa, and as well as up there into Michigan. You guys are all expected to see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rainfall by the time we get into the end of this month, so we will watch it very closely as things really do look like they could start ramping up. Let's see here. Sprinkle Elf says hi. Thank you so much for joining me, Elf. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, we gone over a lot of things in the stream. Like I said, if you got any questions, comments, or concerns to leave down in the chat, make sure to leave those down below. Let's just take you guys through the thing that we can expect one more time, because like I said, the thing that's going to be unusual is that we are going to be tracking the potential for severe weather by the time we get into the end of this month, which is mainly what's gonna make this pattern considered rare and, like I said, even unusual, as severe weather is not something we would usually expect this time of year. So definitely watch out for that if you do live across the lower Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, over there into the Midwest, deep south. Now, like I said, it remains uncertain on what areas will see severe weather, but we could definitely see severe weather as far north as the northern Ohio Valley if things do come together right, but that's still a little iffy by this point. Let's see here. Severe Weather Filmer says, I had to leave for a little while, but I'm back now. Could Ohio have severe weather? So for Ohio, I do think you are going to be at risk for some severe weather, as this model does want to show some energy surging on into Ohio, especially more areas like Cincinnati and Toledo. Those areas could definitely see some rumbles of thunder by the time we get into our Friday. If that moisture is able to surge in far enough, which it looks like you might have a little bit to work with, but it doesn't look like there'll be a ton. So conditions might be favorable for thunder, but it doesn't really look like you're going to be at risk for anything in the way of major severe weather. I still wouldn't rule out a little bit of isolated severe weather, especially if things do come together right. But from what we're seeing right now, it doesn't really look like anything too concerning for you in Ohio, my friend. But I do still appreciate you asking me that. Let's see here. What about the second hit? I'm not sure what you're talking about, my friend. But I assume you're probably talking about the second storm that's rolling on through, because if the second storm rolls on through, it does not look like we're gonna have enough energy to support anything in the way of thunderstorms during the next storm, because the next storm is expected to arrive on December 30th, December 29th, and yeah, I'm not really seeing a lot of energy across those areas. So like I said, your best chance for severe weather will more than likely be during December 27th, right around that time frame. But like I said, whatever we do see probably won't be anything significant besides maybe a little bit of isolated severe weather. let's see here. The John of Austin says, hi Sim, hey, there, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. I really do appreciate that. And yeah, if you would like to stay tuned, feel free to do that. We are still talking about this rare and active pattern that looks to be on the return as we head into the end of this month. And once again, the reason why this pattern is looking rare is because severe weather is something that we're going to be tracking, which once again is something that we would not usually see this time of year. Plus, we will also be talking much warmer than normal temperatures across all the United States, including Alaska and as well as Hawaii, which is gonna also make this pattern quite unusual for this time of year. So we'll keep an eye on it closely. I don't think this is exactly how everything will play out, but I definitely do think it is concerning, as the latest from the models do really show that. So we'll keep an eye on it closely, but obviously still continue to take that with a grain of salt still, as we still don't totally know exactly how everything's going to play out. But like I said, though, it's definitely something to watch for. Let's see here. Could Ohio have snowstorms in January? I'm sick of the cold without snow. Um, Ohio could see snowstorms in January if we go to the European seasonal model again, and if we take a look at the snowfall for the entirety of January, yeah, you in Ohio could definitely get some heavy snowstorms during the month of January. It doesn't really look like you're gonna have the worst out of it. It looks to be more like Maine, New Hampshire, New York, those areas in the Great Lakes, and as well as the higher elevations especially are looking to see the worst of January, but you might still get a snowstorm or two producing maybe around a foot of snowfall. We'll have to see how everything plays out. So like I said, it doesn't really look like you're going to be in the worst of it, but overall for January you could definitely see around a foot or two of snowfall depending on your location. So we'll watch it closely. So definitely keep that in mind, but it's not something that's certain as of right now, so I'd probably take this with a grain of salt. Yeah, and before we end the stream, the last thing I want to take a look at is the National Weather Service forecast on some of the things, cuz well, like I said, let's try to get up to 10 likes before we end the stream, guys. That will be very helpful if you guys could please subscribe, and as well as leave a like down below. That, like I said, that will be very helpful, so make sure to do that if you haven't already. But from the National Weather Service for the next couple of days, the National Weather Service has not fully updated, so we're going to select a different run, and we're going to go out. Oh yeah, it doesn't look like this one shows it, so let's then switch to the National Blend of all models. That's probably what we should have selected at first. But for the National Blend of all models, this is going to give us an overview of what to expect. Okay, so adding all the total snowfall from all the models, our average snow, after adding all the models total snowfall together, we could see around a foot of snowfall across Wisconsin. As we get into the end of December, we definitely could be seeing some in the way of snowfall across the northern United States too as well. So we'll have to see what happens. Like I said, still remains very uncertain though, as like I said, the higher elevations do look to get that chance of seeing a lot of snowfall. It's just going to be uncertain for the lower elevations, but we will keep an eye on that closely. And then for your total precipitation, about the same, maybe a little bit more rainfall as you get far down to the south, so we will keep an eye on that closely, as well as things, like I said, are looking to start ramping up by the time we get into the end of this month. So we'll keep an eye on it closely, like I said, so definitely keep that in mind if you are going to be doing anything. So we'll definitely watch it very closely. And like I said, this is just adding all the models together and creating an average amount of rainfall and as well as an average amount of snowfall, which, like I said, this is about how much we're going to be talking about as we get into the end of this month. Let's see here. Could there be a blizzard at some point? Well, I don't think that that's gonna be the case, my friend. Because for Ohio, like I said, you're obviously not going to be in the worst of it because you're far down south enough to where you're obviously not going to be in the worst of it, like I said. But I still do think that there could maybe be like a chance of maybe a blizzard or two at some point. But like I said, you're obviously not going to be in the worst of it if we were to see one. So we'll watch it closely, my friend. Maybe a blizzard. I don't really know exactly. We can't really tell this far out, but we'll watch it. We'll watch January closely, my friend. But take that with a grain of salt, my friend. We do not know what's gonna happen, but we'll watch it closely, like I said. And yeah, another thing that we're gonna quickly take a look at is the European seasonal model. This is pretty much gonna be telling us our temperature and as well as our precipitation as we head into the next couple of months. So if we take a look at our monthly precipitation, starting off with January, expected to be above average across the east and as well as the northwest, maybe a little bit below average as you get far down to the south, and that's what we're expecting as we get into January. If you're wondering about February, for February, we could still continue to see a similar pattern with above normal precipitation across the east, with above average across the northwest. But as you get far down to the south, you'll likely start to get drier as well. As I said, we are going to be in a La Nina, and this is usually what we would see during a La Nina, so we'll watch that very closely. And then for March, which is far enough out to where we probably shouldn't really look this far out just because we're now starting to exit winter. But for March, could definitely see a very active March, maybe even a historic tornado outbreak at some point in March, as during the past couple of years we've been seeing a lot of crazy severe weather ongoing in March. So we'll watch March closely next year. But like I said, it's far enough out to where we also can't tell about March. But yeah, like I said, if you guys got any more questions to leave down in the chat, make sure to leave them down below. I did go over most of everything that we wanted to take a look at, so we're going to be live for just a few more minutes, maybe getting close to that hour point. We've been live for about 45 minutes so far, and we're going to try to get closer to that hour. So like I said, if you guys got any more questions, make sure to leave them down in the chat before we end this live stream. Let's see here. Severe Weather Filmer says too far out. I'm not sure, but what do the models think about summer derecho potential? So for summer derecho potential, I mean, let's go out to June to figure that out because that's the farthest the European model goes out. But I mean, for usually summer, we usually do see that potential for derecho during the months of June, July, and as well as August. At least that's usually what we would see climatology. So we really can't rule out a derecho any summer, if why not any time during the spring. It just depends on what and all is happening. But like I said, we always can't rule out a derecho during the spring or even the summer, especially if conditions come together the right way. So we'll watch it closely, like I said, my friend. But take that with a grain of salt still, as we aren't even close to knowing what's going to be happening during both the spring and as well as the summer, but we'll watch it closely though, so definitely keep that in mind. Let's see here. Severe Weather Filmer says, what about derecho potential in Ohio? For derecho potential in Ohio, once again, climatology, we would usually be at risk for derecho. Usually the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and as well as the Great Lakes region, and as well as into parts there of the Deep South, including the Carolinas, are usually at risk for derecho at some point during the summer and as well as the spring. So, like I said, climatology, you could see a derecho, my friend, but it's not certain as of right now. So that's probably not really something to look at or forecast till we get into spring, and then we'll know a little bit more about what to expect. Let's see here. The John of Austin says, "What is a derecho?" That is a really good question, my friend. I do know what derecho is, but just to help me explain it a little bit better, let me just show you what is a derecho. So just to show you what a derecho is, if we go to one of the images to just to show you and give you a good idea on what it is, a derecho is a storm that is caused by a lot of things. So usually it's a big line of storms that travels miles and miles away. And what happens is that a lot of updrafts occur as it's moving miles and miles away, and it has to produce damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour or more um, for about 100 miles or so for it to be considered a derecho. So, like I said, derecho is pretty much a big line of storms that is producing damaging winds 80 miles per hour or greater for over 100 miles or more. So that's what a derecho is, my friend, which can be very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And some can even produce tornadoes if parts of the derecho rotate. But yeah, I think that's all we got in this live stream, my friends. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you guys answering and leaving all those questions down there in the chat. Like I said, a lot of those are still uncertain, as some of those are still months away out. But like I said, though, as we do get closer to spring, we will know more about what to expect with these things. But I still do appreciate you guys answering and chatting with me. That is very nice of you guys. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your evening, and as well as a great weekend. I will try to do a video tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned for that by clicking that subscribe button and as well as that notification bell, so that way you guys don't miss out on any future weather videos on Weather with Sims. So make sure to do that if you haven't already, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much